Welcome once again to Auto Mundial, the weekly home of all the latest motoring news and reviews. This week, 2 German hatchbacks grow to saloon proportions.
We've also got an update to the Bentley Continental in plug-in hybrid form.
Plus, the GT3 name returns to Porsche's lineup and the brand new 992.2 generation of 911.
That's all coming up. First though, the news.
A few weeks ago at the Paris Motor Show, we finally got our hands on the hotly anticipated Renault 5 electric city car. A compact EV sporting retro design language reflecting a model lost to the past, the upcoming French hatchback has been a strong talking point within the industry for some months. And now, Renault is further pushing that interest, having announced the new car's price when it hits UK dealership forecourts next year. Set to hit the market from just £23,000, the Renault 5 will sit among the most affordable all-electric cars on the market. For that, you will get 120 bhp and 190 miles of range from a charge, thanks to a 40 kilowatt-hour battery. A more powerful model sporting up to 250 miles of range will also be available from £27,000 when order books open in January.
Selling over 140,000 examples in the first half of the year alone, the Nissan Rogue is no doubt the Japanese manufacturer's most popular model in the United States of America, and we can see why. Hitting the market at just $30,000 and yet offering good space for a family of 4 inside a pleasant cabin with all the top luxuries you would expect, the Rogue represents good value for money.
But sometimes even a daily commute benefits from a bit of excitement behind the wheel, and with far more agile looks both inside and out, the Dodge Hornet may well be a surprise alternative to Nissan's offering. Indeed, for the 2025 model year, Dodge has given its small SUV a pair of paddles on the steering wheel to inject a sense of dynamism to the automatic transmission. This latest addition is but one in a long line of signs over the years that the American crossover is aimed towards the enthusiast. Better yet, buy one of these daily runabouts and you will get a one-day pass to the manufacturer's own driving school. But we do wonder what the course can really teach you. How to safely load your shopping? Well, if that is part of the course, we hope the Hornet is not the dummy, offering a boot some 200 litres smaller than the Nissan. The rest of the cabin is just as compact due to the albeit sporty but truthfully rather tight cabin. Even on the base model, several features like the 10.3-inch infotainment screen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, automatic wipers and dual-zone climate control come as standard, making for a well-equipped runabout. From the outside, that tight cabin does make for a handsome crossover with muscular haunches, a sloping roofline and squat stance. Sharing a platform with its Stellantis cousin, the Alfa Romeo Tonale, there are plenty of similarities both visually and technically between the two models. So whilst we cannot get our hands on the Dodge here in the UK, Alfa's offering should satisfy your fun SUV desires. Powering the SUV Dodge, described as a performance vehicle, is a 2-litre turbocharged 4-pot, good for 268 horsepower. Mated to a 9-speed auto, the specification sheet does not highlight many performance attributes. A hybridized 288 brake horsepower is available in the plug-in hybrid RT specification, though with a 12 kilowatt-hour weighing it down, it is no more dynamic than its smaller sibling, and all for $10,000 more than the standard car's $33,000 starting price. So whilst it may be marketed as a hotter take on the crossover formula, the Dodge Hornet's underpinnings do not really point towards a performance car.
Pairing with the Nissan Rogue's bulkier looks is a 1.5-litre 3-cylinder engine, good for around 200 brake horsepower, which is certainly nothing special, especially with a run-of-the-mill CVT. A combination that did at times frustrate us during our time behind the wheel, especially when kicking down to pull off an overtake. However, for everyday highway driving, it would be our pick of the bunch.
A strong powertrain under a long bonnet in front of 2 doors and a sloping roofline. Nothing shouts "I have money" more than a grand touring coupe. A mainstay of the class is Bentley with its Continental, and as the name suggests, it's built for cruising across continents and looking fantastic in front of fancy restaurants. But in 2024, the famous name has received a refresh, and while sharper looks front and rear are easy to notice, it's under the shell that Britain's GT is truly overhauled. Lurking beneath the bonnet is a newly developed plug-in hybrid powertrain, a first for the marque. The system combines a 584 brake horsepower 4-litre V8 with a 187 bhp electric motor. The whole thing combines to 771 ponies, marking a significant increase over the outgoing W12 unit. This means the new Conti will reach the dizzying heights of 208 miles per hour, but not before completing the 0 to 62 sprint in 3.1 seconds. Clearly, the heavy 26 kilowatt-hour battery makes dashing off the line somewhat cumbersome. But a GT is not all about performance and instead subtly making your way about town in comfort. And thanks to 50 miles of all-electric charge, city driving should be no more frustrating than any other econobox. As you would expect, the new Bentley's cabin is full of luxurious details that the common man could only dream of. Leather, cloth, wood, aluminium, chrome accents, and anything else you can think of appear to be available as interior materials. Meanwhile, a 12.3-inch infotainment display, up to 18 speakers, and optional wellness seating are all features that simply sound expensive. And expensive it is too, as with pricing kicking off from £236,000 and options sure to tip the scales beyond the £250,000 mark, you'd better have deep wallets.
But if you're looking for a GT and can't quite justify that eye-watering cost, perhaps this is a piece of you. The Maserati Gran Turismo is just as long-lasting a name as the Continental in the Grand Tourer space, and better yet, its name describes the class. Much like the Bentley, this Italian cruiser has recently been overhauled with electrification in mind, but unlike Britain's compromise fitting hybrid tech to a new engine, Maserati offers either an all-electric option or a traditional gas guzzler. As such, pricing for the petrol-powered Trofeo model is far more approachable than that of the Bentley, starting from £160,000. For that, you get a stunning bit of kit that, much like its rival, echoes its lineage in its design, all whilst introducing sleek modern details. The same is true for the interior, although where Bentley goes down the route of an opulent barge with hints of performance, the Italians may have made the wrong choice, clearly making a sporty cabin with a touch of comfort. Under the bonnet, you'll find a comparatively dull 542 brake horsepower twin-turbo V6, though despite lacking a pair of cylinders versus the Continental, you can at least boast sharing your engine with Maserati's range topper, the MC20 supercar. Unladen with batteries, the relatively lightweight Gran Turismo will come close to matching Bentley's efforts off the line, hitting 62 from a standstill in under 3.5 seconds. It may not quite hit 200 miles per hour, but 199 is close enough in our minds. A stunning car with a more traditional approach to its powertrain, Maserati presents as a fantastic driver's car for the enthusiasts looking to flaunt their wallet on the French Riviera. But just remember that one day someone will park up alongside you in the new Bentley Continental and look down their nose in disgust. Whether that experience is worth saving the circa £75,000 for is not our call.
After the break, a new limited production track-focused supercar to drool over.
Welcome back. Coming up, the Porsche 911 gets a new range-topping variant.
Looking for a compact hatchback for city driving, but fancy yourself behind the wheel of something with a more elegant roofline? Well, Germany has once again decided to fill a niche few of us would ever think of with a selection of fastback models, and the latest to join the trend is the BMW 2 Series Gran Coupe. Now, don't get confused by the 2 Series moniker that has always been a small coupe, as you should instead think of this latest unveiling as more of a 1 Series sporting extra meat on the rear end. Compare this new model with its 1 Series hatchback cousin, and you can quite clearly see the similarities in not only their sharp modern details but also their lines. In this M235 specification, the Gran Coupe features some extra carbon fibre pieces to liven up the party, though we do feel it could do without them, presenting as a very nice shape. Those sporty accessories continue to the interior as the recognisable red and blue colours adorn much of the cabin, whilst aggressive bucket seats and a compact steering wheel are all there to give the car a dynamic feel. But even without the M-specific details, Beamer's latest release is just as flashy as any other Bavarian saloon. The large curved display and funky shapes are all pulled from other models launched this year, making it one in a long line of high-tech BMWs in 2024. Dual-zone climate-control driving assist, making for a partially automated driving experience, heads-up display and a smartphone or watch for a key all help sit this car in period. As we say, the new Gran Coupe is far from the first German hatchback growing to fit a saloon-shaped box, meaning it will be up against a great deal of competition, none less strong than the Audi A3 fastback.
Facelifted earlier this year, the Audi A3 is available in a choice of 3 body styles, including hatchback and lifted all-street stance. But for its softer rear-end lines, the saloon is a tough challenger to the extended BMW. Visually, the A3 saloon is just what you would expect, an Audi A3 hatchback with a coupe-ified rear end. That extension does come as a benefit to boot space, as not only will the saloon welcome longer objects, but overall space is also greater by some 45 litres. Though that does come at this cost of marginally reduced rear passenger headroom. That isn't all that we find slightly tighter on the Audi, as the 4 rings is very good at making a dark cabin in which we fear the onset of claustrophobia. Large, clunky design pieces all look very nice, but the result is a dark cabin that we wouldn't want to spend too much time in. That being said, the Audi's A3 comes with just as much tech as BMW's 2 Series Gran Coupe, making both perfectly usable on a daily basis. Much like the standard hatch, the A3 saloon gets 4 main powertrains, excluding the higher octane S and RS variants. On the diesel front is a sole 150 brake horsepower 35 TDI unit, which gets an equivalent petrol in the form of the 35 TFSI.
BMW, on the other hand, offers just two engines, though the top M235 xDrive is certainly more of an S3 rival. Sitting below that is the 220, a 48-volt mild hybrid, good for around 170 bhp. It's available to order now, with delivery set to commence in March of next year, with prices starting from just under £35,000. Whilst not our choice between the two, the Audi is the budget option, hitting the market from £29,500 in its entry-level form. The more competitive 35 TFSI still presents good value, undercutting its Bavarian rival by £4,000.
Earlier this year, Porsche shocked the world as it unveiled its facelifted 911 sports car in turbocharged hybrid specification. In fact, the new 992.2 generation's Carrera range-topping GTS now gets a newly developed so-called T-hybrid powertrain. At its core is a 3.6-litre flat-six engine with a single turbo strapped to its exhaust. Though thanks to a small electric motor, that turbo will seldom slow down, totally killing off any conception of turbo lag. Punching its way to 478 brake horsepower, the six-cylinder boxer engine is enhanced by a secondary electric motor inside the 8-speed dual-clutch gearbox. The whole thing, powered by a small 1.5 kilowatt-hour battery, pumps out 532 brake horsepower and will complete the 0 to 62 dash in exactly 3 seconds. But with its hybridized powertrain, the new generation 911 is like a spit in the face to traditional Porsche enthusiasts who have already lost their beloved air-cooled machinery.
Immediately after the new model's release, thoughts have been with the generation's GT products, with concerns of a dulled-down hybrid GT3 version. But fear not, as the race car for the road is already here, and with it remains a screaming, naturally aspirated 4-litre flat-six engine, pumping out a tremendous 510 brake horsepower. Levels may not be what they once were with the integration of particulate filters and catalytic converters, but still reaching the dizzying heights of 9,000 RPM, this Porsche is doing its best to sing. That thrilling engine is paired to either a 7-speed dual clutch or a 6-speed manual transmission, both of which get shortened gear ratios. At 193 miles per hour, this does drop the GT3's top speed somewhat, but you do get more opportunities to flick those paddles or throw the shifter from gear to gear. Just like its underpinnings, the new 911 GT3 gets very few significant visual changes on the outside. The same stocky stance sees the car sit hunkered down to the ground, with broad haunches and grills aplenty, helping to keep the car from flaming up. But take a closer look rearward and it does get the same taillight design as other new generation models, while some minor plastic trim touch-ups do elevate the front bumper. If that sounds a bit cheap for you, the optional Visac package replaces plastic with carbon fibre and gets you those fancy magnesium wheels. For fans of a more subdued top-spec 911, the GT3 Touring returns once again, dropping the club sport pack and its roll cage, as well as the towering rear wing. Not only does it look more like a standard 911 from the outside, it now also gets rear seats as standard behind trick folding carbon bucket seats. So you can easily cruise around town as a family of 4, blending in with a sea of Carreras and then blast into hyperspace with GT3 levels of performance the minute you reach a twisty road. But if you fancy yourself a more dialed-in version of the stealth bomber that is the Porsche 911 GT3 Touring, select the Leichtbau or lightweight package for a collection of carbon fibre parts, dropping overall weight. The latest GT3 is available to order from the end of the year, with prices starting at £157,300. But add the fancy lightweight packages for £20,000 and select a special colour, and that figure will quickly rise. Traditionally, yearly production numbers for GT products are limited, so if you do get your hands on one, you're very lucky.
The year may be drawing to a close, but we still have plenty of excitement to come. Do tune in next week when we begin our countdown of our favourite cars of 2024. You won't want to miss it.